that we need, that those other people get, that give them these high scores, that should be available to all of us. I mean, these are secrets that they know, that teachers know, that you have to continuously enrich your kid and talk to your child and provide experiences for them and expose them. I mean, I've had neighbors. I'm like, it's a beautiful day. Why don't you guys go take a walk? Oh, we don't want to go out. Well, I mean, it's really beautiful in South Mountain. I've never been to the reservation. You live in this community and you've never been at the reservation. Can you imagine that? We're paying all these taxes and people never going up that hill right there. So, I mean, and why live here? I've never been in Memorial. You've never been in Memorial Park? I mean, stuff like that. Why are you paying 10, 12, 20,000, not the 20,000 people, 10, 12, 9,000 in taxes, and you can't take advantage of your community? And what an exceptional community this is. All these intelligent black people and progressive white people and the lawyers and the entertainers and the musicians and the writers and the journalists all over the place. And we don't even know that we're here. We think that, those people aren't as smart as me. And everybody has gone to college. And there's no time that we can all share the resources and tell each other all the things that we need to. So this is the other goal, which is similar. I mean, we're in the same mindset of building community here in South Orange, Maplewood. It's the purpose of the show. It's the purpose of the fund. But the fun, of course, I mean, in building community and having a good time, we should also raise money to help send our children away for 2 weeks or a week to have some experience so that they know what you probably do, that an oak, an acorn makes an oak tree. Or, my son was telling me something the other day, and I'm like, well, how do you know that about, the pixels on the phone, and I was like, how do you know? Oh, I learned that while I was at Brown. Oh, you did get something out of that. Oh, yeah, and a good friend, too.
Oh, he went to Brown University?
He went to Brown for the summer, for a summer program.
Okay. Now,
so, had not someone said, I want to send your son to this school, Northfield Mount Hermon Prep School in New England for this summer. And he was gone for 6 weeks. The cost of that program was $5,700.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this was a whole world I had no clue about, these elite prep schools. And I went up there and I was just astonished. It's like a little mini camp. It was a campus.
It's
definitely.
a campus.
It's a
campus.
And
it's like Lawrenceville Prep. Blair Academy.
Yeah, I've seen Lawrenceville. This is better than Lawrenceville. I mean, prettier, at least in my mind. So, but this was, I'm like, wow, look at this. Now, had not some philanthropic, beneficent benefactor opened the door for me and him, or opened the door for him, I would have never known. And how would anybody know if someone doesn't tell them? So,
Marjorie, you to me, you can't just wait for other people to give you information. You have to go out and seek information.
All right, thank you for that advice. I've gone out. Hold
let
up,
me
please. I'm getting. You asked me what I'm trying to do. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm not asking for any advice right now.
No, I'm not giving you advice.
Okay. So, I mean, I have researched things. Nobody told me about Brown. Nobody told me about Global Youth Village.
So you did it on your own?
Those things, yes. But there was something else that I did not know about. And I'm a reader. I know a lot of stuff, but I don't know everything. So, at any rate, but to provide information to people, any information, if there's something you can tell somebody or show somebody or help open a door or expose somebody to, if they don't want that information, that's fine. I mean, as a teacher, and I know as a real teacher, and I say that, because I deal with kids, when they tell me, I deal with kids. So, and I've been doing this longer than you, because you had another career. So, 20 years later, and somebody on Facebook says, well, you told me this a long time ago. So whatever exposure that you can give to somebody, it's the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is the goal of the fund. And in that effort, what I can and donate to my community, what I can offer the community is the information I have. And so with that, I hate to start sentences like that, T.J. Whitaker, who is a pretty acclaimed scholar and teacher here at Columbia High School, Walter Fields will speak, and so will I, and so will you, at our MLK program on the 19th, Monday morning at the Rack, which was once Tarasco, but it's now the Rack, a cafe owned by these two young women.
Mm-hmm.
And open this as a community forum and have open discussions about the life of Martin Luther King. Mm-hmm. There are three themes that we're going to discuss. One is the misappropriation of the message of Martin Luther King.
Mm-hmm.
Often I hear people, if Martin Luther King were here today, he would say this. I think a lot of us are bothered by that because we don't know what Martin Luther King would say. And I think that, his message has been taken and used. You're too loud, you're fighting, you're getting in an argument, you're rioting. Martin Luther King wouldn't want that. They also misconstrued or misaligned or malaligned of malalignment of Martin Luther King. I'm sorry, I don't feel like I'm saying that word right. Where here he was during that period in his life, as soon as he jumped on the bandwagon with this Montgomery bus boycott, he was being followed by the CIA. His phone is being tapped. He's being sent threatening letters. You should kill yourself. Constantly harassed. And I'm sure I'd really like to find some newspaper articles and some editorials that called him a troublemaker. And so people at that time, sure, there were many people who supported him, but I'm sure there were many people, black and white, or white and black, I should say, who did not support him. But now, here it is, many years later, after fighting to get this holiday, that he's this, well-acclaimed and well-loved leader. And what that tells me is that we can't allow other people to tell us who our leaders are.
Well,
the last thing I wanted to talk about is the idea, or not me, but I think TJ is going to take this topic on, of the prisoner of conscience. So a prisoner of conscience
Who's TJ?
TJ Whitaker, who's just this excellent, exceptional, well-known teacher at Columbia High School that's highly respected.
How come we haven't had him in here?
Well, you'll meet him, if I'll introduce you. I don't know why you don't know TJ. But prisoners of conscience, and a prisoner of conscience is someone who goes to jail for what they think. They didn't commit a crime. They didn't do anything bad. They just, speak out of stuff. Like Martin Luther King did. It was a prisoner of conscience. Like Gandhi. These people will languish in jails. They'll come up with something. Oh, we told you not to trespass. Boom. So, I wouldn't say Nelson Mandela was a prisoner of conscience, but, So, I don't know, and I just think that these are important messages. Then one more thing. I'm sorry, I don't like rambling. I do like dialogue, but I don't,
I'm allowing you here. Okay. You see, I'm just
thank you. It's really hard for you. And didn't take that muzzle off in 1 second. Yesterday, so I'm trying to decide if I want to do a Martin Luther King program at my school, because when I first came to the school, being the only teacher who's black in the school, only black social studies teacher. There's one math one, there was one English one, and there's one special ed. Out of 100 some teachers, this is all they got. So at any rate, when I would come in,
school mainly predominantly black.
Again, it's 30% black, 30% white, 30% Hispanic, 10% everything else.
True diversity.
So in the school, people would walk up to me. So what you gonna do for Black History Month? It's like, am I the only person? And I used to be very insulted by that, because I'm like, I know the history of black people, but I also know the history of white people. I know the history of Asian people. I know the history of African black people. I know the history of Latin America. I know all these other things, but you just keep coming at me. And I started, at first I took it on, then another year, and then I started resenting that you're going to come to me. And then maybe like 3 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, I rethought this. Because the purpose of Black History Month is for you and I to be able to tell our story. Me as a student of history, I don't want to call myself a historian, even though that's my degree in that and political science. But to me, to be able, the historian, to take the story and tell that story. So I do the research, I look, I read, I synthesize, I analyze, and I tell my story rather than somebody else telling my story. That was the real purpose of Black History Month, to give us a chance to tell our story and to make it. Now, what Black History Month had turned into for many people, I could just see it now. A bunch of third, second graders sitting around. They had a picture of Martin Luther King, and they're coloring brown. And they're saying, I have a dream. This is Black History Month, And so the story that needs to be told, the story of resistance, the story of struggle, the story of people overcoming obstacles, other than there was segregation, right? Other than, the slaves came from Africa, those kinds of stories. Being enslaved, people came from Africa, not slaves, right? People came from Africa that became enslaved, or brought and enslaved, but they weren't slaves. So, for us to be able to tell that story. So we are using this opportunity on Martin Luther King Day to tell a story or different stories of Martin Luther King rather than the I Have a Dream. Finally, almost finally, yesterday I asked my students, because I was trying to test the waters to see if I should do this Martin Luther King program at my job. And I used to be very hesitant because last year I wanted to do a Black History program and I had all these great thoughts. And, the beauty of it is when your students do the research. So I said, go research the Black Panthers and write a skit. And a girl wrote the skit because she had just seen, another Oprah movie, that other one, The Butler. So she just wrote based on that movie she saw. She couldn't even go on the internet. But you know what these girls, about 15 of them, I can show you on my computer, not on this one, but on the iPad. Every day they come into my room and say, we have to practice our dance. That was the main thing they wanted to do, is shake their behind on stage. There wasn't any scholarship going on. So I said, listen, why am I opening this up? I would really love to have kids do that, but people don't really want to read like that right now. So I said, if I'm going to do this, I'll just do the program because there's just so much you can get offline. So many, so much memorabilia just because they need images. So I was trying to figure, should I do this program? So as a social scientist here, I tried to do a quick survey. And I have 5 classes, and I asked each of them, I need you to do me a favor, take this little skinny slip of paper. And all you got to do is write on here one thing you know about Martin Luther King. Should we write our name? No, just put it in there, put it in this basket, and we go home and analyze this. What do you think? There were 4 themes that I got about Martin Luther King. So these are 12th graders and 10th graders. What do you think they said?
March. 4 things you know about Martin Luther King.
Yes.
Right. He was black.
That was the first one.
What do you?
I got about 20 of those. Go ahead. What else?
He was black. His speech.
What's the name of the speech?
Let freedom reign.
No. I have a dream.
I have a dream.
Martin Luther King had a dream. That was the other thing.
I have a dream. What else would they say? He was a doctor.
No, I didn't get that at all.
You didn't get that? He was a preacher.
I didn't get that either. I think I got one person who might have said that.
He was a preacher.
Now, this is out of, what's that, 3 times 4 is 120, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, go ahead.
He marched.
I didn't see that word at all.
He was arrested. He went to jail.
No.
Um,
He was black.